Next we have this, which I'm covering in the meme section because it's too silly to treat seriously. So this is a portrait of our current king, King Charles, and for some reason he chose, or he approved, this art style. Now, we have an artist right here in the host's channel to discuss this, so I'll get your opinion in a second. Did I actually cover this last time? I can't remember. Either way, we'll cover it briefly now. I just kind of want to know why. Why was this art style chosen? I don't know if anyone knows
it goes hard as a painting, but not as like an official painting commissioned by the state to officially represent the king.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, someone's drawn the king? Cool, looks awesome. I like how it's sort of faded. Don't know what the butterfly's for, but I like the art style of it. Sort of, you can still clearly see it's in his royal regalia, but it's also going into background. Goes hard as an image. Why on God's green earth is it the official portrait of the king?
Yeah. See, I agree. I think you and I discussed this either in front of Cabal or we just discussed it elsewhere. But yeah, as a piece of art, it's fine. But as a royal portrait, all throughout the entire history of royal portraits, they've been basically literal depictions. Why now this? Now, beyond the fact that it looks like a cool picture, and beyond the fact that it should be more sort of depictionary, realistic if it's a royal portrait, the choice of depicting himself like this, where this image looks like a depiction of someone that is evil. Why? Now, I suspect that it's not really Charles's choice to do it this way, that they hired an artist who they thought was good without knowing how he'd paint it, and it was up to him how to paint it. And the reason that it's so different from historical portraits is that there are just more art styles that are sort of in vogue or acceptable in the modern day than there have been in the most of history of art. So that could explain it. But it still does carry the association of, like, okay, so you're saying he's a vampire, like in real life, painted with Diana's blood. Like, if they had chosen blue, I wouldn't be as concerned. The fact that it looks like he's made of blood is a little bit odd. I'm not taking it to mean anything actually occult, because occultism is just a bunch of beliefs. It doesn't actually mean anything. But still, they might be, in the current climate of some of our quote-unquote elites actually being demon worshippers, regardless, that doesn't give them any powers, but they still believe it does. That's concerning, and this coming out, it aligns with that. So it is odd, it is concerning. I'm curious to know why, but it might be as simple as they hired an artist who was good, and he chose to draw it this way. Now, apparently, what I've read earlier is that the butterfly is there because Charles is a conservationist. But he's many other things as well, and that's the only feature on here other than the blood. So it's a strange choice. I'm not sure if the butterfly has any sort of occult significance. It might do, but pretty much everything does to someone. So King Charles' first official portrait since coronation is unveiled, painted by Jonathan Yeo.
Symbolism that immediately comes to mind for me for butterfly is dementia, but maybe that's just me.
Maybe. I don't think we've seen any indication Charles is demented. Oh, monarch butterfly. It could be the monarch butterfly. It is actually.
It's more as like an awareness thing.
Fair enough. So what you're saying, Wolf, is that he's the monarch. Wes showed me that cartoon. It's pretty funny. He's been big on hunting too. Well, that is sort of, sometimes that's also part of conservation. So the first official portrait since his coronation. So there have been other official portraits, but this is the first one of him as king. The vast oil on canvas shows a larger-than-life King Charles in the uniform of the Welsh Guards. The vivid red work measured about 8 foot 6 inches by 6 foot 6 inches, so it's as wide as me plus 2 inches. It's by Jonathan Yeo, who has also painted Tony Blair, David Attenborough, and Malala Yousafzai, whatever. I don't know about Attenborough, but the other two are also figures I would be very slow to trust. Queen Camilla is said to have looked at the painting and told Io, yes, you've got him. Camilla confirmed Bant's queen. Ah, yes. That horrific vampire depiction, that looks just like my husband. Motch is this picture that posted the picture that he painted of Tony Blair. I assume this is Io's Tony Blair.
Yes, it is.
Needs
so
more steps.
It's a similar style with like the clothing sort of blending into the background. Yeah. It kind of works there, and it also works because it's got like the highlight color or the poppy or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah, it's all right.
So, one, it needs more steps. The step count's too low. But yeah, seriously though,
he's been making the AI art step count IRL for every bit of like artwork we've seen just in the real world
even
for a week and a half.
Yeah, it's still funny.
And for like the views, yeah,
it's still
chat
funny.
help.
Anyway, so the fact that he painted stuff like this before, and like when I said that like they chose him but they didn't know what he was going to do, yes, but they knew roughly if this is his style. So they knew roughly what they were getting. So they wanted something that wasn't literal, that was more abstract. So they knew somewhat what they were getting. So it is partly their choice. In the new portrait, the king is depicted sword in hand with the butterfly landing on his shoulder. Let's skip a few things. Io jokes, if this was seen as treasonous, I could literally pay for it with my head, which would be an appropriate way for a portrait painter to die, to have their head removed. Yeah, given the depiction, it seems like maybe you I could believe that you painted it with your own blood whilst still alive. It's the kind of look that you've created here. Perhaps that's what you were going for. So as you can see here, there is another official portrait of Charles, just from before he was a king. Or the king. So the king also got a glimpse of it while it was half finished, before seeing it. And he seemed to like it. So, again, at no stage did anyone in the royal family or in the process of painting this think, does that look evil? Does that make him look like a literal vampire? No one apparently thought this. The queen loves it, thinks it's just like him. He reckons it's just like him, and the artist, of course, created it. So, Hugo said he wanted the painting to be distinctive and a break with the past. He was aiming for something personal. Break with the past. I'm well aware of the human tendency to have periods of iconoclasty, and there are benefits to that, but there are also many drawbacks. This period will be remembered as an odd time in human history, at the very least. My interest is really in figuring out who someone is and trying to get that on a canvas, he says. So, we could go on with the analysis, but it's not all that important, and it's just a bit odd. There is more in here. There's one of the queen here. There is more in here about his motivation, about the details, about Charles being a conservationist as well. But I'm going to move on for now. However, I will link this article in live chat if you guys want to look at it in more detail.